What's up, War Report family? It is your boy C Dub here with you today. The second half of the 2023 season is about to start with the bye week in the rearview mirror. We take a look at our picks for the first half of this season, how that went, and Mike and Ike will help me to preview the second half of this season and what we think Auburn will do for the rest of the way in today's edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to.
Yes, indeed. Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the latest Weekend Tailgate, courtesy of our show sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. With them, you get to work out, grill out, and chill out. We want to send a special thanks to them for partnering with the War Report and helping us to bring you some quality content, fireside style. Special thanks to them for all that they do. We also want to thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We'll be even more thankful if you helped us to share this content with those of your friends, other fellow Auburn family. Please be sure to do that, guys. Social media, group chat, please spread the word of the War Report. Also, while you're here, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, you need to get a Green Name game and get access to some of our amazing content that Ike's been doing this season. Reviewing film. Ike, tell the people how they can get access to that.
It's real simple. You click the join button and you can be a part of that gang. We appreciate everybody who has continued to support us in this way. We've had some great conversations about film. Film don't lie, man. And we're out here trying to make sure everybody understand what's happening on game day. So make sure you guys lock in with us. We'll be doing some previews of LSU and got a few more goodies that I want to try to get done on this week coming up in the film. If you are a member and you want to gift somebody a membership, you could do that right now. Not to mention members get a chance to go to these games. So when we get back into the home games, we'll have some tickets for y'all. But if you want to gift a membership, you can do that right now from the live chat and somebody will get a free month on you. Another mug giveaway today. Hashtag get your weight up in the live chat. And you will have an opportunity to win a War Report mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. And we appreciate them for continuing to sponsor. And then just another quick shout out to Golden's Cast Iron. Hit the goldenscastiron.com/WR. That's for War Report. And use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off of your weights. Code TWR for $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills. Golden's Cast Iron. They have products that last a lifetime, baby. Make sure you hit them up and get you a little something off of your purchase.
Yeah, I'm firing up the Golden's Cast Iron right after the show.
It's that season. It's it's cool enough.
Firing it up right after the show.
The fire pit is a good time to be out there around the fire pit. Get that installed right now. Yeah, it's just that time of year, baby.
Indeed. Gentlemen, how are we? It was a very stressless Saturday for us. Auburn had a bye week. How are you guys feeling as we begin to crank up LSU week here?
They had some things to get fixed in the bye week. I know we're going to review the schedule. But ultimately this schedule, I mean, it was one of the easiest schedules that Auburn had in quite some time. Over their history, they fared fairly well. Yeah, at times when they've started 3-2, with the exception of Harson's last year, or first year where they lost 4 straight in October. But at the end of the day, we're going to see a little bit about what this staff is made of. Can they rally the troops? Can they find something that looks effective? Because right now, guys, on offense, it just doesn't look great. And you could, and I'm not going to sit here and play the blame game about which part of it. It just all has to come together over the back half of this season. And that's what I think fans are going to be looking forward to project to the future. And, everybody got exciting about recruiting, but I'm telling you, if they can't put something that looks serviceable on the field, what's given can be taken away. because the ink on those letter of intents don't go dry until mid-December. If you're in the early signing period. So that I think they've got work to do, I think, on the field. A lot of time has been spent recruiting, but I don't think "we need you, this is better with you" is an effective message if you can't at least at some serviceable level use the guys you have. Offensively. Rob Roberts is doing an amazing job. Extend him right now as far as I'm concerned. No, you wait till the end of the season. Just give him
Bro,
a raise.
listen. He got scapegoated over at Baylor, and Baylor looks like hot basura.
TJ Finley carved him up.
Ooh, Lord have mercy.
Texas
Glad
State.
to have Ron Roberts as our defensive coordinator.
Yikes.
Yeah, man.
Low
Yeah,
point for
man.
them.
Talk about getting off a sinking ship. But Ike, how you feeling, man?
Listen, man. I want to be excited. I really do, because y'all know I am in my bug right now, you know. But until I see this offense do something, I can't get excited about it. I can say we've got a chance because every defense left on our schedule looks suspect. But right now, I'm just happy, you know, that they've had an opportunity to take some time off, hopefully get some stuff together, and hopefully they come back from this bye week with an offense that looks worthy of what we expected from a Coach Hugh Freeze coached football team.
Yeah.
I agree. And I guess at this point, this coaching staff has to, and one of the things I said after the Georgia game is it appears as though, whether we want to admit it or not, our identity is beginning to show. Obviously, we're beginning to see what we're good at doing. Clearly, we can run the ball, but it feels like with the QB position, it seems like the training wheels are on our QBs. And there were times when we had to throw the ball, we just got exposed. And this is what Hugh Freeze is known for doing, is throwing the football, which is perplexing to me, given that one of your QBs, who's your starting QB, was brought in out the transfer portal to remedy that. So, again, you have to hope that during this bye week, these coaches make the necessary adjustments. They're able to determine, okay, based on what we can do, who are our best 11, and let's ride with what we got.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping those questions. I'm hoping we're not leaving LSU still questioning a lot of stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let me tell you this, because LSU is the next game. They're down in Death Valley. A lot of people on my Twitter feed were overly optimistic about beating LSU. I had this in the loss column. I have not changed my mind about this game after watching LSU on Saturday, because
spoiler alert.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, it is what it is. We're going to have to see something that we haven't seen yet, is what I mean about why I have not changed my mind. That doesn't mean they can't show it, but we're definitely going to have to see something we haven't seen yet.
Well, listen, before we start looking ahead, let's kind of look at what Auburn has done through the month of September. See what we did here. You guys ready for it?
Yeah.
We made some predictions. We did. I know, right? We did boss, toss, and loss. And let's just look at how Auburn actually fared. Okay. Obviously, we were correct through the first 3 weeks of the season, but I think we learned a lot about this Auburn football team in week 2. As a matter of fact, it was through week 2 and week 3 that gave Mike a lot of, he was no longer confident.
I was about to say he was the only one with the boss on A&M, and he completely went the other direction.
I jumped ship on that one. Yeah, went right overboard. I was like,
so just let's talk about that, because you defected, and it was an unpopular decision. I wasn't there that midweek report when you jumped ship, but basically you just reiterated what you saw against Samford, and you were of the belief that what we were seeing of this Auburn offense is what we were going to continue to see until it's absolutely proven it doesn't work.
Yeah, look, I mean, I had two main points after Sanford offensively. What we saw wasn't real, and it definitely was not going to carry over to Texas A&M. And it didn't. They looked awful offensively, and it didn't carry over. Against Georgia, I feel like it got some more things going, even though it didn't look great. They took more steps. I mean, I think if they could have played that game versus Texas A&M, let me ask you guys a question real quick. Does Texas A&M have a better defense than Georgia?
I think Texas A&M's front
defense?
seven and run defense is
Their
playing
run
better
defense
than
is
Georgia's
probably
right
better.
now, more consistently, because Georgia still has a good run defense. Let's not pretend as if they didn't shut down Kentucky. But the back end of Texas A&M's defense is terrible. And Georgia Georgia is more consistently good 1 through 11, really 1 through 22 when you talk about being able to rotate guys, than Texas A&M is. So no, but their starting front seven is really good. Like I don't think that's smoke and mirrors. I think they actually have a really good front seven.
Okay.
But outside of that, their secondary is lost on a consistent basis.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, I mean, Caesar, my whole point about Texas A&M was I didn't feel like we learned much, against Stanford. I know there was some reason for optimism. Everybody was talking about, well, Peyton Thorne almost did something hasn't been done since Nick Marshall, which was throw for 300, 1 for 100. I believe that was the stat.
He almost hit. He didn't quite get there, but
yeah. In passing yards, I think was what came up short, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think he would be an effective runner against Texas A&M. I just didn't. He wasn't. And they called a game plan again, 2 games straight. I felt were more suited for Robbie Ashford's talents. Now, I know everybody's gonna say, "Oh, Mike, you think Robbie is better than Peyton." No, that's not what I'm saying. This is a comment about play calling. To me, if you were going to call the game that way, where it's pretty much like the quarterback is like no real threat to push the ball down the field at all. Those passes they were calling for, Robbie can throw, but is also a better runner. You just have to call the game and give him a chance to consistently make those passes. He hasn't really gotten that chance this season with a healthy shoulder. Because the shoulder was hurt all last season. Because there are a lot of people, 49% last year. I'm like, come on, man, let's let that go. So I expect, I'm not going to lie, I picked Peyton Thorne to win the starting job. I thought he would raise the floor. I said it repeatedly. Peyton Thorne raises the floor in this QB room. He has not, which is why they lost to Texas A&M. And yes, I will put that on the passing game. If they could have passed the ball, I believe they win that game. Because
isn't that what's frustrating, though, Mike? Sorry to cut you off. Isn't that what was so frustrating about this A&M loss is that we just led with talking about how bad A&M secondary was, and we could not take advantage of that. It's not like A&M had an amazing secondary that caused our passing attack to struggle. No.
Right.
It was there. We just couldn't do it. Isn't that what's been the frustration with our passing attack this year?
Yeah, I think everybody just wants to see a passing game at Auburn, guys. Every time they've been able to muster some semblance of a passing game, they've been in the conversation for a championship.
Yeah.
Anytime. Nick Marshall was just good enough passing the ball. Cam, just under 3,000 yards passing, but 50 total touchdowns or something ridiculous. Obviously, he won the Heisman. Jason Campbell. There have only been 2 3,000-yard passers in the whole history of Auburn football. So, I thought that this was the year that they would get close. You start paying Thorne 26 to 2,800 yards, you're going to win a lot of games, especially this year in this SEC. He's on track for fewer yards than Robbie threw for in 9 starts last year. That's systemic. That's not all on Peyton. That's on Hugh. That's on Phil. That's on receivers. That's on everybody. There's no way. There's no way he starts every game. Is it on track for fewer yards than Robbie threw? I think Robbie threw for like just over 1,600. He's on track for under that.
Yeah, and like you said, that's more because the play calling is not allowing for us to, I mean, which there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Like, and it shows that the coaching staff doesn't have a ton of confidence in this passing attack, whether that is a lack of confidence in the wide receivers, a lack of confidence in the pass protection, a lack of confidence in the QB. It doesn't really matter what the reasoning for that is. It's basically a big salad of sorry.
Right.
Like, and it equates to we are not proficient in the passing game, and we've got to get better in that facet if we hope to win any of the remaining games on our schedule.
Well, the way that Texas A&M, they play Texas A&M, I ain't gonna lie. Not only did they not belong in the boss column, I feel like that if they were gonna play like that offensively, it belonged in the loss column. Because there was no chance they were gonna win that game if that's as much offense as they could muster.
Right.
That's crazy. Right? I mean,
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. They brought QB off the bench and still and caught fire offensively.
Yeah.
You know, the QB whisperer is supposed to be doing the same thing here at Auburn. Right? He said that. That's not me. Don't come at me. Don't at me, bro. He said that. He said, I'm good with QBs, developing QBs. Well, develop the 2 we got, the 3 we have.
I was about to say the 3 that we have, because it's clear that we need some development there. I guess what he wasn't adept at is developing chemistry between QBs and wide receivers. So even if the mechanics are better and we're making better, which we're not making better decisions, so that's not there, but we still have to figure out how to get the chemistry going between them and somebody in that wide receiver core. I don't care if you throw it to the same guy 15 times. We got to get the ball to somebody that's going to catch a pass and then make some positive yards after that catch if they're throwing into open windows.
Yeah.
You had A&M as a toss up game there. And I was there with you. What were you expecting going into A&M week? That, I mean, obviously you expected to see some semblance of a passing attack, but were you just surprised at how they were calling the game and the personnel that they were?
Yes, 100% surprised at how we called that Texas A&M game and how much. And this was the conversation Mike and I were having. I didn't think we were going to try to rely on the quarterback run at all versus Texas A&M. I thought it was just going to be, oh, they forgot he was there. He's going to take off for a couple of yards like he did versus Georgia, where it was like, all right, we're not, that Peyton Thorne kid can't run. We're not going to pay attention to him. And he's going to take off running. They're going to be like, oh, crap, wait a minute. What the heck was that? I thought that's what was going to happen versus Texas A&M. What instead they did was treated Peyton Thorne as if what he did versus Samford was a repeatable thing. And that's just not a thing that you can expect to be repeated week in and week out, because that's not his game. And I thought what we did see from Samford, which was a commitment to the short passing game, was something that we were going to do versus Texas A&M. Spread them out a little bit more, make them play one-on-one on the edges versus those susceptible defensive backs out there for Texas A&M, get some one-on-one matchups down the field with our big receivers that we can go throw to. I thought we were going to see that, and we saw almost none of that for the entirety of that game. That was going to lend to us being able to bring some of those guys out of the box, not allow them to bring, that edge pressure that they were consistently getting home with, and allow the run game to continue to work. I didn't see any of that versus Texas A&M. And that was the disappointing thing, is I don't think, even though we had our opportunities, like, we can have a debate about whether or not the opportunities were there. I would agree with you going back watching the film. Absolutely, the opportunities were there with the game plan they called. That still doesn't mean that, to me, that was the most optimal game plan
right,
to win the game. Whether it could have been effective and worked is also not the same thing as it being a good idea to go in with that as the game plan, right? We'll get to a very stupid decision that was made by a team later, as far as making a call in a game where it's like, it could work in theory, but is that the best idea to do in this situation? Probably not.
Yeah.
If it works, then you look like, oh, genius, right? But when it doesn't work, you're sitting here looking like, yo, why did we do this?
Well, let's be honest, right? Peyton Thorne it not clicking for Peyton Thorne, it was not something it was clear they were not anticipating that.
I don't think anybody anticipated that.
Yeah,
How did you anticipate a guy who started for 2 years in the Power 5 coming in and having your pass offense, a guy who's thrown for over 3,000 yards in a season, come in and have your pass offense regress?
Yeah.
Who anticipates that?
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, it was something they weren't expecting, and it put them into scramble mode.
Yeah.
No shit. What do we do?
Literally scramble mode. That's which is what the quarterback has been doing. Scramble.
Yeah. What do we do now?
Well, but Mike, Hugh Freeze made some strong statements when he first got here in the spring, prior to spring practice, when he was asked what is an SEC quarterback, right?
Yeah.
For Peyton Thorne to set foot on campus, and by all accounts of what you were hearing in fall camp, there was another guy who was actually performing better in fall practice. If what Hugh Freeze has said has held true, how do we get here with Peyton Thorne?
I think that maybe they were projecting hope. You know, I mean, listen, let's be clear on Holden. Even though I do believe the reports that he had the best camp, it is really hard to throw a guy with as little experience as he has out there with any confidence, right? I'm not sure he outplayed the other two that badly that they would have done that. Right. And I think that would have had to have been the case for him. He would have had to have been so far and above the other two for him to win the job, which is why I picked Peyton Thorne to win it. I just was acknowledging, hey, so far through camp, all reports say Holden is balling. And so, you know, it was, you know, how did we get here with Peyton Thorne? They clearly saw something that wasn't happening, I think. Or they misread, they mistranslated, like whatever is happening in practice is definitely not translating to game day. It's one of those two things.
Well, I think that's the confusing thing, because they made it clear that even in scrimmages, he wasn't looking good. And they thought he was pressing. So they were hoping that what they were seeing in the scrimmages.
Were they hoping he was Bo Wallace? Because Hugh Freeze said this about Bo Wallace.
That's exactly
that Bo Wallace wasn't all that in practice, but then when the lights came on, Bo was Bo.
But he's telling us that he is practicing well.
Well, he said no, but see, that's different though. The scrimmages though, he wasn't playing.
Okay, but preseason, right? Yeah, in season, they like, hey, he had
a good week of practice. But they're not doing scrimmages. They're doing walkthroughs of what they like. That's 7-on-7, and they're running through. Yeah, that ain't the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, I see what I'm supposed to be doing on this read right here and recognizing and getting the ball out. But that's not against live defense. I'm talking about. He came out and literally told us he was pressing in the preseason when we were in the scrimmage periods, and was hoping that starting him or naming him as the starter was going to reverse that trend. And it hasn't. That trend is not reversed. He still seems like he's pressing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's baffling to me. Again, how did we get here? Right. The coaches missed something. That's the only way you get here. When you name a starter and he doesn't play the way you missed something. You missed something. Now, what did they miss? I don't know. What I don't like is that it seems like every time we have a quarterback struggles, everybody goes to blaming everyone around them. If the conditions are not absolutely perfect, the quarterback cannot succeed. Right? I had one dude arguing with me on Twitter about that last route with Jay Fair, where, you know, he said after the game that he cut his route off a yard early. They're like, see, Mike, it was his fault. No, dum-dum. He recognized the blitz, right? And then he cut his route off a yard early because that's what they're trained to do. The quarterback didn't see it, and he threw the ball a yard too deep. So it was too high. But you're the dude. Why is it? Tell me, why is it? When things go wrong, we look at the guys with less experience and then we blame them for everything. When you brought in this dude, particularly because of his experience, the young guys are taking the heat.
And again, and nobody's excusing away wide receiver.
What they're doing, right? Yeah, some of those plays you have to make. Again, I had a big issue with that video that Sidelines put out, right? And I think the point of the video was, see, it's not all Peyton Thorne, but the implication was, look, it's the wide receivers. And I'm like, no. It's a good mix of both. We know, dude, we've seen the reports. We've seen the reports of wide receivers not running routes to the right depth. So we can acknowledge that. Listen, man, they have not played up to snuff. We've seen the drops at times. But I'll tell you what, by any professional standard, anybody who rates it, they only had one drop in that game. That's how contested those balls Peyton Thorne were throwing were. Now, yes, you hope your guys come up with more of those catches. But I'm more concerned about the throws that are there that are not being seen. Because that's the stuff that nobody is catching on tape. Unless you're watching film review, plug for Ike, we'll watch the film where you can see, hey, man, this guy was open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing. I just don't get it. Hugh Freeze has to get this fixed. And I think it's okay. The time thing, the give me time thing, this thing is not a time issue right here. This is not a give me time to fix this. This is supposed to look better than this in year one.
Yeah, it's supposed to look better than this, right? Like nobody's asking
nobody's
for it
expecting
to.
nobody's expecting a championship level offense. I'm just saying it should look better than this. His base level output product should look better than this in year one so far. And the only reason we're here, Caesar, is because they missed. Now that's okay. That's all right. But what I have a problem is I have a problem with you continuing on with game plans as if you didn't miss.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing.
Point, if it doesn't
they are the game plan is showing, in my opinion, the game plan is showing that it's a miss. Because looking at the number of actual attempts that we're having per game, they're saying to themselves, we know we can't pass the ball. The place where they're not willing to pivot off of is the guy that actually runs this game plan best is not the one that we're starting. They've acknowledged by the number of passing attempts,
right?
We're not going to be a passing team this year.
Right.
We need to figure
that
something else out.
That is so true.
Yeah, well, 14 passes in one of these games. I'm telling you, I pointed this out.
That to me is an acknowledgement.
Yeah, right. Like if you're not even, and then in the red zone, you're not letting them throw the ball.
Right.
In the red zone, you're not letting him throw the ball. So you're right. Like, the way you're calling plays is an acknowledgement of a failure of something. Right. Either you don't have the guy, which is disappointing that you could not get at least more production out of anybody on this roster. And I think, gosh, I'm struggling with this.
I don't even know where you tried to pull the punch.
Yeah, it's been intimated to me that the feeling internally is let's get to year two however we can.
I mean, at this point in time, I think that you have to, but
let's make a bowl game and get to year two however we can, right? And suddenly, but I think there are things that will carry over, Ike, to year two that you still are problems internally that you have to fix, and just getting better players isn't going to solve all these things because when you go up against Georgia and Alabama and Texas State and these teams who have been recruiting at a high level for 8 years, you're going to get exposed. That's it. Yeah. Like, I mean, look what happened this weekend in college football. We saw games literally lost on dumb coaching decisions. Yeah. Some obvious, some not so obvious. Something as simple as kneel the ball.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, man. I mean, I think what we're watching is not as much a talent issue as it is a coaching one. Your Peyton Thorne's your guy, then find a way to get it out of him. Find a way to coach it out of him, right? And if you cannot get it out of him, see if you can get out of the next guy. But that's true at every position, right? Yeah. And I think they saw that. No, I'm sorry. One more point. I think we saw them do that with the wide receivers. And during Sanford, it looked like they were having tryouts. They sent out so many different combinations of wide receivers trying to figure it out. Now, you can only send one QB out at a time, but I think that there's a more effective roster, arrangement for the game plans that they're calling. And I wonder if during LSU, similar to what we saw last year with Harsin, I don't know if you guys remember, there was an admission internally by that staff that they messed up. And some people may not know what I'm talking about. There was an admission by Harsin's staff. We should have gone with Robbie Ashford from the jump or pivoted earlier because it was not going to click for TJ. They admitted that. And then before going into LSU, they flipped it up. Now, they didn't win that game, but the offense looked way better. And in my mind, I'm just thinking, what took you so long to get here? Because we were feeling that during Penn State. Everybody's like, what are they doing? Come on, baby.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing I'll say before we get to our break, man. And we're friends with, well, I won't even say friends, but we know a lot of these guys. We've talked to them. I think our wide receiver room should take this as a challenge.
Yep, 100%.
Should take this as a challenge because if we've talked about this before, in the era of Auburn football that we've all been accustomed to prior to Gus Malzahn, right? Prior to the last couple of years of Gus Malzahn, where we were airing it out way too much, I think, in those years. Receivers knew their opportunities were going to be limited, so you couldn't make a mistake. If it came your way, you had to catch it. Our receivers need to take that mindset and say, I know I'm not going to get the ball a bunch, but if it comes my way, I'm absolutely coming down with everything that comes in my direction because we need them to do that. We absolutely need our receivers to step up. If we're not going to have quarterback play that's going to be giving you all the opportunities in the world, if we're not going to have a pass game that's going to give you all the opportunities in the world, we're not going to scheme you open some sort of way. You got to make contested catches. You've got to come down with the difficult ones. I want our wide receiver room to take that challenge from now through the remainder of the year, that if it comes my direction, it's a catch. I don't care if it's 3 dudes on me when he throws it my way. It's a catch.
Right.
If we can get that level of receiver play, we can be respectable in every single game going forward, regardless of what the quarterback continues to do in their progression.
Yeah.
And then nobody has an opportunity to say it's your fault. Don't let people. This is the thing I've been saying repeatedly. If you're going to do your 111th, don't let people make you part of that conversation. At the end of the game, say, I did my job, and look yourself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could to make sure that we won this game.
Right.
And let the rest of it take care of itself. That's all you can do. Yeah. All you can do is say, look, man, it came my way. I caught it. I ran the right route, coach. I blocked when I was supposed to, coach. If you can look Marcus Davis in the eye at the end of that game and you're going in the film session and you can say that, then all right, cool. The rest of it you can't do anything about, man. Hold your head high. I did everything I was supposed to do, bro. But you got to take that upon yourself to decide that that's what you're going to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah. What's your concern about pass protection moving forward? I mean, obviously teams have sent the house at us, recognizing pressure when it's coming. Obviously, that's another aspect of it too. When we begin to kind of talk about Peyton Thorne or whoever's back there throwing the ball not having enough time, some of this the QB have seen the pressure coming and no adjustment is made. Moving forward, what's your expectation there?
I mean, I just expect them to actually pretend as if they knew a blitz is coming at some point in time and somebody acknowledge it, whether it's an offensive lineman, the quarterback, a wide receiver, somebody acknowledging the fact that, hey, they have more guys lined up to come pass rush potentially on this play than we were expecting based upon what the call is. We should do something about that. I have seen that so little from this team that it's actually astonishing how little it looks as if we're prepared for blitzes. And I just like to see them at least call it out. Whether you block it right, acknowledge it.
What's wild about that is I'm sure you've seen this in practice because our defensive coordinator loves to bring pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it's mind-blowing to me because the collective amount of snaps that the guys along our offensive line and quarterback have, there's no way you're telling me that you're not prepared for this, regardless of how long you've been in this system at this school. Somebody along that offensive line, that quarterback, has seen a blitz before in their life. And they can say, hey, look, that dude right there is probably blitzing. Now, whether you know what to do in that scenario, whether you guys have practiced what the call is supposed to be, at least say, hey, man, there's a blitz coming right there. And then when you don't do it right on that play, you go to the sideline and you say, hey, next time we see that blitz, how about we do this?
Yeah.
Just act like you played football before. It's cool. I mean, it's okay to act like that.
I'll just say this is the last thing I'll say on it. The message, I've consistently said this since the offseason, and I don't care who comes at me, I'll continue to say it. The messaging from this staff needs to get better. Right? The message that it's not working because we don't have dudes is a crap message. I'm sorry. We understand, everybody understands recruiting is important. And you may not have as much highly rated talent, but you have to instill a belief in your team that they can go out and win every game. And you don't do that by constantly crowing about how you don't have guys because you need time to recruit. Not in season. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. Right? I don't think that message creates cohesiveness and belief within your team dynamic. I don't. Right? Find a better message. Find a better message for the guys that you have. Get through the season. Continue to recruit. What you say to recruits and what you say to, privately and what you say about your team publicly are two totally different things. I don't care what you say privately to some recruit about, like, hey, man, you'll be the guy, or we need more guys, or, our talent is not there. But publicly, stop. These guys listen to this stuff. They do. I'm telling everybody that's listening to this would be on a shadow of a doubt with the fact that these guys, every Monday, after every Monday presser, these guys hear what this coach has to say about them. And that had and the idea that, well, we need guys while you're already in season has been an unpopular one. Get it fixed. I don't think this is intentional. Right? But you need to be able to take this constructive criticism, man, change your messaging, because belief is a very powerful thing when you're going up against somebody who's better than you at something. Yeah. I've seen this my whole time filming Auburn. I saw that team beat more talented teams than them because they just believed that they could. And they worked hard in practice and they did the things. And then you go up against somebody who thinks, well, we're Georgia. All right. You can think that, certainly. But not respecting your opponent is the best way to get outworked on Saturday and completely taken by surprise, right? And if you can instill in your team a belief that, listen, okay, like they got stars, but we have heart, we have work ethic, we've got belief, we've got brotherhood, we've got all these things, and we're going to go out, we're going to take all these things, we're going to put it together on Saturday. I don't care who they got. Peyton, I don't care what you did the first 5 games. You're going to play like a Heisman today. Right? Robbie, I don't care what you did last year if you're going to put them on the field. Whenever you touch the field, you're going to be the best player in America. I don't care what people say about the offensive line. Right? You guys are going to do enough for us to win, and we're going to take advantage of it. Let's go beat the hell out of them. That has to be the message. Stop with all the, we don't have guys, we need to recruit, I need time. We need patience. I don't want to hear that right now. We're in season, man. You got games to win now. Start talking about next year after the season's over. At least to the fans and to your current team. Recruiting is something completely different.
All right. Good conversation, gentlemen. Listen, if you've enjoyed this up to this point, please share with other members of the Auburn family this video and spread the message of the War Report. Smash that like button and subscribe if you have just found us. Let's pause to acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, head over to GWT2Energy.com. Thank you to the sponsors of the War Report. Thank you to those of you who have continued to support us by becoming members. We appreciate all of you. Continue to do that, and we can continue to bring you great content like those watch the film things, and we can continue to do stuff like pop up after the game with Mike G on the sidelines, and we can continue to bring you stuff like all of everything that we're doing that requires us to not have jobs to do consistently. So we appreciate y'all for continuing to help support us in those ways. And if you are a member and you want someone else to get those benefits, you can do that by gifting a membership right now. And we appreciate everybody who continues to do the gifting of memberships. Hit hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat, and somebody can walk away with a War Report mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We'll do that drawing here in about 20 minutes. And make sure that you guys lock in with our folks at all of the spots along the podcast network. We have the Auburn Express, which is the War Reports pod, the Uptempo podcast, the College Loop, and the Just a Sec pod that are out there for you to be able. Those are all separate podcasts. Go subscribe to all of them, download all of them, click on all of them, listen to all of them. A lot of different voices giving you different things about Auburn from different content perspectives. And we appreciate all the guys who have locked in with that so far. Podcast Network is out here doing work. Yeah.
Grab some supers. JT Martin, appreciate the super chat. He says, what did we see? LSU defense is horrible, and LSU QB is him. With that being said, AU by 14. Peyton Thorne has a chance to get off the bums list this week. JT Martin put him on the bums list.
Yeah, look, man. The Jay Daniels is balling right now, and I thought it was pretty admirable how he played through injuries. This Saturday. I mean, it was crazy to see. He's like one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NCAA right now, I think, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Ann Robinson says LSU looked very suspect yesterday against Missouri.
Defensively, they are who we thought they were. Terrible. Awful. Now, credit to Brady Cook. Brady Cook is having a great season. Right? And that receiver that Missouri's got, I think his name is Luther Burden. Mm-hmm. He was exactly that on LSU's defense, a burden. He was he was tearing it up. And those two seem to have a certain chemistry that is fun to watch. I picked Missouri in that game. I don't feel bad about that pick, honestly.
It was a good pick. I mean,
it wasn't a bad pick.
Yeah,
Missouri had their chances to win that game.
Yeah, I felt like Missouri would make some noise in the East this year, preseason. I think they're still have a chance to do that. So Missouri, Georgia might be one of the games of the year.
No.
Yes. I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking with this.
Listen, baby. I have not been a believer in Brady Cook despite what he did the first few weeks of the season. I am still not a believer in Brady Cook until he shows it to me versus a quality defense. I am not going to be a believer in Brady Cook. You got to prove it to me, sir.
Yeah. Remember this.
We will.
I remember them 2 terrible interceptions he threw versus LSU and the pick 6 that sealed the game. I remember that very well against a not good LSU defense.
All right. We'll see. I think it's going to be a good game.
All right. That means that Georgia went out there and crapped the bed seriously if that happens.
Brent Browning says, could the offensive woes be kind of an illusion? I mean, I know they are bad, but A&M defense looks legit. 4 sacks yesterday, and Georgia shut down Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about just not taking advantage of the opportunities that are there, right? The missed opportunities. I kind of said it best, right? Like, just because the game plan provided opportunities doesn't mean it was the most optimal game plan for the game. And, when I think they are kind of an illusion in a sense that they're not as bad as everybody thinks they are. They just
that I will agree with. Yes, we're not as bad as it looks on film because the stuff is there.
Right, it's there, right? And they just have to figure out a way to see it first and execute it second.
Yeah, for sure. JT Martin comes back and says 100%. a talent issue. Just looking at recruiting on offense, look at recruiting on defense, and notice the difference. Don't have the offensive talent. It is what it is.
Wait, I'm
I don't agree with this, man. Hold on. So there's let me parse this out, and I'll let you go, Mike. After this, do we have less highly rated talent than other teams that we're facing? Yes. Do we have guys that aren't even playing up to their talent level right now on a consistent basis? Yes. The issue with this offense, though, is not talent. Those are not actually the same things, because player for player, those guys are talented. Like, I think people get, and I've said this for years, we get too caught up in star ratings and say to ourselves, oh, look, we've got a 3-star guy here, and we're against this 4-star guy here. There are 5-star guys that just don't pay. Like, the star rating is not necessarily the indication of that person's talent all of the time. The issue with this offense is not talent. And I will say that until I'm blue in the face. The issue with the offensive line is not talent. The issue with the wide receivers is not talent. The issue with the quarterback is not talent. Peyton Thorne can play quarterback. Like, come on, man.
We've seen him
play quarterback before.
Yeah.
Is he elite? No, but he was never elite. Are our wide receivers 1 through 9, whatever, in that room elite? No.
One of them is.
Well, I'm talking about the entire room. Elite? No. But that is not indicative. Like, the issues we're having is not because collectively we have a talent issue. It's just not. That's just not. Again, if you go and you look at the film, you can see that same level of talent's getting open on plays consistently. That same level of talent is providing space for the quarterback to be able to have time to throw the football. That same level of talent is making throws that's not being caught. It's a lack of synergy with the talent that you do have, not a talent issue, in my opinion. Now, JT, you're welcome to disagree with this, and I am never going to tell you that your opinion is wrong. I will say I don't agree with that assessment.
Yeah, all I will say about this is that you play with the guys you have, and we've seen a good scheme get a bunch of average players to the league plenty of times, right? I think it starts with what you're asking the players to do, and it was always crazy how a bad scheme can produce below average results. And we saw that at the A&M last year. All them 5-stars, they didn't even make a bowl game. Right. So, I mean, to me, this is not as like, what talent issues should show up in like championship games. And you know what I mean? Like, it's the SEC championship and Georgia's got more talent than you. And so you played a good game because you have a good scheme and you have players. But at the end of the game, their talent takes over.
Right.
That's what we see. This is why it always, like, so many games on Saturdays, guys, look like upsets early. Right? Because they came out with a good plan and then talent takes over at the end and the better team usually wins.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. So, if what fans are hoping for is for the coach to recruit so well that he has the leeway to put any kind of plan on the field and then still pull it out, good luck with that. You may never catch up to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart if that's what you're hoping for. Right. It's once every decade we see a coach come through and recruit at that level and have a scheme and coaches to match. Right. So where it's almost like they can do no wrong. Like, even when they play a bad game, they still win.
Right.
Right. If that's what you're hoping for, if that's the type of talent that you want, you may never catch up to those guys. I think it's better to try to get coaches who can out scheme those guys consistently with talent that is close enough. That's a better hope. That's a better hope than hoping for generational talent year in, year out.
Yeah, for sure. Oda Smith, appreciate you, man. He says Jaden Daniels, it's not him. It was Mizzou's defense. Come on now.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Don't even go address that. We'll talk about it.
Damian Princess says, Super Chat, he says, include Caddy more overall than decisions and watch we win the rest of the season outright. War Eagle.
Hard to ignore what he did. Him and what's his face? The offensive line.
Will Friend.
Yeah, did over the last half of last season.
Include
Wilfred and what was the receivers coach name?
Ike Hilliard.
Yeah, Ike Hilliard.
They put up 40 something on Mississippi State. Let them go in and score less than 21 on Mississippi State and watch and come to that show.
I mean, if we're going to commit ourselves to run the ball more, then I agree with this. But if Caddy's not going to fix our passing issues, so
yeah,
I just think that we need to figure out, because that's the biggest issue, man, is figuring out how to throw the ball more proficiently.
But I still, even under that offense, the passing game looked better than what we're watching. Yes, it's 100% there. By the numbers, it was 100% better. They were putting up more than 100 yards. Now, they didn't have all these 90-yard per things. They were doing much. I went back and looked at the numbers. I went and looked at Robbie's passing numbers game for game. It was better than what we're watching right now currently.
In the last 4 games of the season.
Yeah, in the games that Caddy took over, it was 100% better from a passing standpoint than what we're watching right now.
I gotta go back and look at that,
100% better.
That Texas A&M game was putrid. The Bama game, the passing game looked putrid. The only game that we even passed the ball that I can remember, and again, I'm not looking at numbers, that it looked decent was Western Kentucky, and I'm not even gonna count that. So Mississippi State is the only one that I would even entertain looking at passing numbers and say, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, quality of completions made, all taken into consideration. It was definitely better when Caddy was the coach. It wasn't prominent and it wasn't featured, but it was. I
don't know about that, cuz
yeah,
we don't have to look at those numbers.
Y'all need to take that on a morning drop. Have a conversation about that. Mike says we have enough talent to be playing much better than this on offense. We need Ole Miss Liberty Hugh Freeze application, not this.
That's all I'm asking, bro. Like, I'm not asking for us to be like, but see that this is I don't know, and this is where I'll echo what Mike said earlier. I don't know that. And I didn't follow Coach Hugh Freeze in his press conferences, but I don't know, going into an Arkansas game at Liberty, Coach Hugh Freeze just talked about how much better Arkansas is than us. And, I don't know if he did that or not, but I think it was, everybody believed that already. And it was, that's why I think sometimes he's kind of like, oh, shucks, man, I'm just happy to be here. But it's like, yo, man, whether or not your team can go out there and compete. And you can put a game plan together that allows you to go out there and do that. I just don't know that we've done that. But here's the thing I will say. That was when Coach Hugh Freeze was 100% in control of his offense as well. So the lack of continuity and harmonious offense may be due to the fact that Coach Hugh Freeze is not 100% in control and he's trying to give it away. This is not me scapegoating Philip Montgomery. This is me saying that maybe that marriage has not worked so well so far, and they need to figure that out.
Yeah, they've hinted at some internal struggle there. Like, I won't speak on it because I don't know what's going on between the two of those, but ultimately one guy is responsible. So figure it out. Right. Sure. You hired him, you brought him in, right? So you had to have had a vision and a plan for how you're going to work with the things that he has done. Right. If it's not working, take over, make changes, get out of the way, whatever it takes. Like, just gotta look better than this. Right. But stop scapegoating the kids for what we're seeing. Because I mean, they have their part to play, but yeah, I think Mike is right here. Like, we need you were hired for your offensive prowess as a head coach, right? So this team should never lack an offensive identity, if you ask me. That's how I felt under Gus. That's how I felt under Harsin. And that's why it was so frustrating with those two coaches.
Yeah.
How the hell do we have offensive guys and we don't look like we know what the hell we're doing on offense?
Right. Because you don't have those. And I don't really love offensive coaches, right? I feel like defensive coaches tend to do a little bit better, long term. But one thing I won't say is Ole Miss can't score. One thing I won't say is Steve Sarkisian in Texas can't score. They're going to put up points on offense.
Yeah, I don't
care. They're offensive coaches.
I don't care what you feel about Sark, right? You've seen it didn't look pretty year one, certainly. They went in, they hit the portal, and then look at the jump that they made year over year.
Right.
right? But like, I mean, there were competitive games, and you're right. Like even in year one, man, even it was rough at times, but you saw some semblance of what he was trying to do. I can't say through 5 games I know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, no, I
You
don't see it.
you do, you just don't agree with it.
Yeah, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what they're doing. You just is that's not going to work when we get into
Yeah.
the teeth of our schedule.
Ed Darby says it right here. I'm not gonna put it up, but said the whole trying to be a CEO thing, man. I'm telling you, I don't know why I don't hear about this other places. Like, I need to step away and be less hands-on.
Well, again, that's why I think it doesn't work as well with offensive coaches. With defensive coaches, you don't really hear it as much because they're
Right.
not trying to step in and do offensive play calls. They might decide what the offensive identity is going to be, and they're going to try to hire a coach that fits that identity. But by and large, they're not putting offensive. Listen, Kirby Smart is not out there diagramming offensive game plans. He's just not.
That's fact.
Yeah.
Nick Saban is not out there going with the offensive coordinator trying to figure out how we're going to attack this defense. Now, is he going to consult with them CEO-like? Absolutely, they're doing that.
Yeah, he'll
But
step
they're
in on a
not-
big decision on like whether to go for it or not. Yeah,
That's
but like
completely different.
But
than
they're not
putting
drawing
game
out
plans
how they're
together,
going to run that
Yeah,
fourth
yeah,
calling
call.
plays, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's
It's-
harder, in my opinion, to be an offensive coach and take your hands off of the offense. It's just
Yeah.
difficult.
I
They
agree with
struggle
that.
with it at every NFL, college, high school. All of them struggle. There is not a single offensive coach that does this well. Drinkwitz is the only person I think that's been doing this particularly well this season. And
Yeah.
we'll see now that they've lost a game, whether or not he continues to be able to do it.
Yeah, they moved the ball though. But like, here's my point. Like, do you guys remember which Iron Bowl it was? There's like a famous shot from the CPS cast where Auburn did something positive offensively, and Nick Saban turns to Kirby Smart and goes absolutely ballistic. And Kirby looks at it like, hey, what are you talking about? I'm doing my best. Right? As a defensive coach, you know, he still has those moments where he's like, hey man, what the hell? I can do better than this. All right, what are you for? But it's not as many, like Ike is saying, there's not as many moments during the game where a defensive coach is looking at his defensive coordinator thinking, you know, what's going on? If there is, you're seriously doing bad. But there are more of those moments offensively, I think, when you're an offensive guy. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I don't think it's the same dynamic as taking your hands off the defensive scheme as a defensive head coach.
Usually, though,
Yeah,
they're going to be running the same scheme that you would run. It's very rare that you're going to bring in a DC that you're typically going to be, running a 4-2-5, a 3-4, or 4-3, whatever it's going to be scheme wise, and you're going to bring in a coach that doesn't share your defensive philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, I saw somebody ask me. They were like, "Do you think that the?" Somebody said this, and this is not a thought of mine. I just read it, and it said, "Do you think that the game has passed Hugh Freeze by? Right? Like, is he one of those coaches that the game has passed him by offensively?"
I think that there's maybe some credence to it's getting to that point because everybody passes their prime.
Because then
if they're not reinventing themselves,
right? But then you got to go out and find an offensive coordinator, Ike, that has revolutionized the game to some extent
recently.
In spite of whatever your particular feelings about offensive philosophy are, right?
Like he feels like he did that with Philip, because Philip Montgomery was considered that guy when he was in Baylor.
Philip Montgomery, I think
that was like 10 years ago.
Here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say recently, right?
I think Coach Hugh Freeze is more close to the cutting edge than Philip Montgomery is, as far as his ability to play call and put schemes together, because Coach Hugh Freeze, in my opinion, has put offenses on the field that have been more proficient more recently than Philip Montgomery has. Those Tulsa years, those offenses were okay, but it's kind of hard to gauge that because Tulsa absolutely had a talent deficit. But the heyday of Coach Philip Montgomery as a play caller was Baylor a decade or so ago, right? And so Coach Hugh Freeze has been proficient within the last 5 years as a play caller. Now, he will admit himself that he probably, there was one point in time where he would have put himself up there as one of the top play callers in the country. He doesn't know whether or not he'll still be in that category today. But I still think that Coach Hugh Freeze is a better offensive mind than a vast majority of offensive play callers out there, but we're not getting the full access to that offensive mind.
Right. Yeah.
Right. JC Martin comes back and says Hugh is telling you that we don't have the talent. LOL, you're essentially telling Hugh to do what killed Harsin for thinking he could do, out scheme people.
No, that's not what we're telling. We're saying we're not saying telling him to focus more on scheme than we are on talent acquisition and upgrade. We're saying during the season, you can't upgrade your talent anymore. You got what you got. Let's go out there and figure out how to out scheme people with the people who we have. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if anybody else is saying something different. You have what you have here right now. Put a scheme together that works best for those people based upon what you see their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, here's my point to this, right? Like, Harsin got killed because he didn't put effort into recruiting and he thought he could just out scheme people.
Correct.
Right? That's clearly not what Hugh Freeze is doing. He's clearly putting the effort into recruiting, and our collective is more together than it was when Harsin was here.
Right.
So the NIL part of it is up to snuff, I think, with the top 12 programs out there. So money is not a huge factor in this thing about getting deals. What I'm saying is that if all talent is equal, what is it? It comes down to scheme anyway, right?
Yeah.
And we got players, and my scheme is better than yours, I win. So what you're going to see is I'm telling you, if they don't fix this, what you're going to see once they improve the talent are a lot of close losses. Or they're going to get right up to the edge. Remember how Georgia was under Rick?
Right.
Right? They had talent, and they were constant 9-win seasons that they could never get over the hump. That's what you're going to see. I'm telling ultimately, we'll be having a different conversation if they don't fix the scheme part of this, right? Like, it may produce more wins when you have more talent, but you're going to be right where A&M is at, knocking on the door. And Ole Miss, same thing, can't beat Saban, losing frustrating games because of in-game decision making and scheme.
And I think you got to be able to do both to really be able to compete with the top tiers. It seems like our previous coach focused on scheme. Mm-hmm. What I'm praying and hoping isn't the case here is that we have a coach that focuses on recruiting and less of scheme. You have to be able to do both to compete at a high level week in and week out, regardless of your talent that you have in that given year.
Sustained success requires it, Caesar.
Yes.
If you are going to have sustained success, if you're going to be good year in and year out, everybody after last year, LSU, they won the Western year winner. Brad Kelly, he's the best coach that ever. He's going to unseat Saban. No. We knew that it was more likely they were going to move backwards this year than move forward because that sustained success, I'm telling you, man, it's like once every decade that a coach comes along that can actually produce those results on the field. Recruiting combined with a good scheme, and then you have the challenge that when you're good and your team is successful, you're turning over coordinators every 24 months. Right? I mean, this is why Saban is so legendary. If you are a coordinator under him, this is the first time when they hired Steele, I was like, whoa, they hired a guy who's got no chance of being a head coach after this. Is he going to die in Alabama? Because I don't know who's hiring Kevin Steele as head coach, right? Like, I mean, I think that his time to be a head coach has passed him completely. That's why I was shocked at the hire. I was shocked at the hire. Are they going to retire him there? Like, hey, did he sign like a 2-year contract? Like, okay, we just need you 24 months until some new up-and-comer that I can pluck and we can plug in. But his assistants go on to be head coaches, and I think that is the other thing, too, that concerns me with this Philip Montgomery thing, is that, again, sustained success requires consistent and high-level hiring practices as well, which is what you see from the better coaches. Say what you want about Bobo, but I'll tell you what, Carson Beck is steadily improving as the season goes on.
Yeah.
He is. Their offense looks better week by week.
Yeah. All right, listen, let's get to it, gentlemen. We are at the time where we're going to give away a mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. As you already know, you need to drop that hashtag if you haven't already. Maybe next live because Ike is ready to draw.
I am ready. Only 59 people wanted the mug. All good because somebody's got to win it anyway. The winner for this week, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services, is Charles Allen.
Charles Allen, let us know if you are here. We will be looking for you.
I say Charles always here.
He's here.
Let us know for sure. Well, yeah, we can almost pretty much tell him what to do, I guess.
Oh, he retweets everything. You win, Charles. Here.
Congrats, Charles. Email us business@theworldreport. Send us your address, and that mug will be coming your way. Congrats, my friend. Thanks for supporting. I'm gonna grab some more supers, and we'll kind of make our predictions on the second half of the season, and then get to what did we see. Oda says, "Here's a great idea. Show some guts and man up. How many times have we seen the offense come off the field with zero energy, zero emotion? Not a darn thing. Show heart."
Yeah, well, must be tough when your coach is saying every week that you're not good enough and he needs the next guy.
It's frustrating when you know that you've put a lot of work in during that week and you're not showing it on the field. So hopefully we'll see some more of whatever they're seeing at practice translate to the field coming up.
It's a whole mixture of things that produces the guts that he wants to see.
Yeah.
Damian Prentice says, not saying Caddy could fix the passing game, but he'll have the balls not to put Thorne out on the field. Freeze not trying to let go of his mistake.
Yeah, I think that is. I think that the ability to be able to reassess and pivot and just say, again, I knocked Harsin for this. Right, they figured it out about mid-season with TJ and Robbie. They were just like, this wasn't what we thought.
But see, here's the thing: they didn't figure it out. TJ got hurt.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying they admitted it. Like they admitted it. They admitted it after the fact. They were like, we should have pivoted earlier. This was a mistake.
I think Ike's point is, would you ever admitted it if TJ never got hurt?
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But I was hoping maybe that this coach would possess that ability, and he still might. Right. For as much as it sounds like we're being down on him, coaches are people too, and they possess the ability to be able to grow and learn in their jobs. You hope that you never have a coach that thinks they have it all figured out. Right. Because the minute that you start in life, the minute you stop feeling like you have anything to learn is when things start to pass you by. I mean, in Saban's first half of his time in Alabama, I'm sure he had a formula for success. Right. Find an average quarterback that could complete basic passes, recruit a monster defense and run the ball. Somewhere around 2014, he was like, after the comeback and, these hurry up, no huddle offenses started really taking hold. He was like, we've got to change. And he went out and he hired Lane Kiffin. And it was a complete diversion from what his philosophy for winning had been. And I was terrified when he did that because I was like, oh, man, he gets it. That sucks. And then since then, what have they become? They've been like quarterback U since then. It's nuts.
College quarterback U.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got 4 starters in the NFL right now.
I'm not counting Jalen.
Yeah, like regardless. That's petty, but I love it.
I am.
Regardless
not
all playing really well. Either.
Yeah, but they got them there. That's what I'm saying. If they're good enough to be taken number 1 in the draft, and I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the pivot is something that you hope your coach requires. That he possesses, and this is what I'm hoping to see from him, kind of moving forward, right? Like it's how what is the plan? If we made what if we made a mistake, guys? What do we do here? What's the pivot? What's the plan B? And I hope that they are not so stubborn that they cannot go to their own plan B.
Yeah. Let's get to the next one. Rick Cazenave says, first rule, always take talent over experience. Coaches' jobs are to address experience. They're still waiting for Thorne on tape to show up. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I would say this, right? Like, I mean, everything starts with the recruiting. So you got it. This conversation will be very different in year 2 than it is in year 1, and it'll be different in year 3 than it is in year 2. Hugh Freeze said something that I wholly agree with. He said, if we're not in the top 7 in recruiting by year 3, everybody here is going to be looking for a job. He understands it. He does understand that Coaching, your scheme is not always going to be perfect. Your coaches are not always going to be infallible. You need guys on the field who can just go out there and get the job done and make plays that you don't necessarily scheme or coach up, right? This is why people complaining about the receivers not winning 50-50 balls. That's when you go out and you recruit guys who can win 50-50 balls. Until then, though, you scheme up a scheme where they're not fighting for things that they can't do.
Right.
That's been my whole point to this, right? So, like in the beginning scheme, as you recruit talent, then you just go out there and you play heads up. You know what was so crazy about that 2010 team was people knew Cam was running the ball. They went out there and he just could not be stopped. He was a force of will. It was nuts. They were just like, listen, man, him on you, he's going to win 9 times out of 10. No matter what we're asking him to do. 4th and 5, need a first down or the season's over, Cam. Need a 50-yard run with a Superman to the end zone, Cam. They just put the ball in his hand. I think that's every coach's dream, right? Is to have guys who could just put the ball in their hands and then they're just going to be better than the guys guarding them.
All right.
Great. Yeah, that's the dream. Can he catch up to the other teams that are doing that at a high level right now? That's going to be the question. Are they evaluating at a high enough level? Like Perry Thompson, I will be so frustrated if this kid comes in here and is not one of the best receivers that's ever touched down at Auburn. I will be. Right? We got to stop ruining players, man. This predates Hugh.
Right.
Where highly rated players come in and then somehow it's like they forgot how to play football.
Right. Lawrence Robinson, appreciate the super chat, man. This is still year one. The rest of the schedule potentially has Auburn winning close to 8 to 9 games for the season. We played Georgia within a possession. I seriously think the confusion is mainly about, do we want to lean into the run or not?
And can you get the ball in the end zone? If you can't score points, it's 8 to 9 is not even close. You're going to be fighting for a bowl game. At the rate that they're scoring offensively, this team is fighting for a bowl game.
Oda Smith says, I know we all love football, but prayers for Israel. May God strike down Gaza and the Islamic State with no mercy and all wrath. Thanks, Oda. The super chat. Appreciate you. Gentlemen, we got to move. Let's talk about the second half. We made our picks, just for those who haven't seen them. This is what we did. This is what we predicted. This is what Auburn did. So we're all looking like Auburn went 3-2. We're all 4-1 on the season as it pertains to Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Auburn did, right? Let's be real. A&M, was that game really a toss or was it a loss?
No, it was a loss.
It was a loss.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Cal was a toss. We won it.
Cal was a toss, right? Yeah.
And Georgia, if we're being clear, it actually was more of a toss than a loss. We barely lost that game.
Yeah,
that was a toss.
That was fair.
That was a toss for sure.
Yeah, so I just want to be clear to everybody who's watching. Like these are about the actual results and not whether those games actually belong in that column or not.
Right.
Yeah. How are we feeling about the rest of the way, gentlemen? It starts this week with on the road, Baton Rouge, Death Valley at night. Here's what we said was going to happen the rest of the way. A few months back. We all had this one as a loss. Do we still feel that way?
I do.
I mean, I think it's a toss-up game still because LSU's defense is so terrible. But
you have more confidence in LSU's defense going into the season.
I have way more confidence in their defense, and I have way more confidence in our defense than I did prior to going into our season. Worse, our defense is better than I thought at the beginning of the season, but it's still going to come down to whether or not we can put up points. Because if we can't, LSU will. No
matter how good your defense is, right? They're going to find a way to score, right? Yeah. All right. So this is a loss. This is still in the loss column for me. Primarily because it's at LSU, it's in Death Valley, right? And if you're going to roll Peyton Thorne out there, I've not liked him on the road so far. And this, I mean, I know he played at Michigan, but I think this will be the most raucous environment he's ever played in. Well, I'm not sure how he handles that. You know, LSU, man, consistently is top 3 or 4 hardest places to play in the country. So do we know, is this game at night?
It's at night.
6 p.m.
Yeah, a night game at LSU. I've got to keep this in the loss column for now. I just don't, can they score enough to win? Because I think
that's what it comes down to for me. If can we score? And
yeah. Now our defense will play well enough, I think, to win this game, but you can give up 21, 28 points in today's college football and still have a really good defensive game. If that makes sense, right? But if your offense is not moving the ball and you're giving them a short field to work with, and they hit one big play, that's 7, right, for them, and your defense really didn't give up much. They gave up one play, and when you're playing teams with 5-star talent, you're going to give up plays here and there. It's going to happen. So unless you got a crazy a 2021 Georgia defense, good luck, man. You're going to give up some points in today's college football, and you have to be able to score to win. We'll see if they can turn it around. I just don't like their prospects on the road to do it against this team.
I don't like for this to be the first game, assuming you've made some adjustments. I hate this to be the game that you have to adjust, that you're making your adjustments on.
Yeah.
I still think this, I got this as a loss still, just simply because there's still so much Auburn has to fix offensively. It's not one thing that they have to correct. And again, we played Georgia well. That was at home. On the road, it's been a different story. We probably play A&M a lot closer if we were at home, but we end up losing that game several scores. Until Auburn shows different, I still have this as a loss. I want to make this a toss because, to your point, Ike, LSU's defense isn't what we thought they were going to be this year, but their offense is. And if we got to keep up with their offense, I don't like our chances. Any different thoughts, Ike, on LSU?
No.
Okay. Ole Miss. How do we feel about Broken Ugly?
Okay.
This is a toss now to me too. Again, until I see the offense be able to produce points, I can't confidently say that we're going to beat a team that scores as well as Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, my based on what we've seen, I want to move this to the loss column, but never underestimate Lane Kiffin's ability to blow it. So this stays in the toss column for me, guys. They're scoring points right now, and Jackson Dart seems to be playing, well enough. But I think our defense is good enough to create some parity in this game and give our offense some short fields. The game is at home. I had this as a toss from the beginning. Auburn fans came at me and they were just like, Mike, how could you? Did you marry an Ole Miss girl? They were throwing out random female Ole Miss Twitter accounts saying you're in league with her. And I was like, guys, I think this is a toss. I really do. I think this is a toss. I still feel really good about it being a toss right now.
And it's at home, so.
Yeah. It's toss up.
Okay. Toss for you, Ike?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with Boss here. I'm gonna stick with Boss because Lane on the road will definitely lose you a game. And this is the game I hope he loses. As much trash as we talked about Ole Miss, we can't lose this game. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with Boss here.
Okay.
Mississippi State. I got this as a Boss.
Yeah, I had this as a Boss too. Guys, what happened to Will Rogers, man?
Different scheme.
Yikes, dude.
Different scheme.
I mean, he was like a plus 75% completion guy under Mike Leach. And whatever direction they've gone, he's dropped to a 61% guy. That's crazy to me. He is 9th in the conference in passing. I
don't even know if he's going to be healthy for our game. I don't know what his status is, but he got hurt in that game running. So,
yeah.
Mike Wright is their backup quarterback. He's more of a mobile quarterback, but he's definitely not as dynamic in arm. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's 6th in the conference in pass attempts. You know, if this were Mike Leach offense, he would be number 1 by like 50 pass attempts. This is nuts. I still have this as a boss. If there's any one team I trust not to be able to score enough points to beat our defense, it's left on the schedule. It's Mississippi State
for sure.
Oh, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not scoring the ball very
well.
Yeah,
I just think Mississippi State will blow this one. It's in Auburn, and you know what's crazy? They put up only 14 points on LSU's defense.
Right.
At home.
14 points they mustered against
at home.
LSU. Yikes, man. Our defense is way better than that. I think that with some luck, Auburn can hold them under 10. That's how bad I think this offense is.
Yeah, it's going to be a different offense, like I said, if Mike Wright's going to be the quarterback. But I think that you have to be able to pass the ball proficiently against this defense to have a shot. And I don't think that they've shown the ability to do that. It's still a boss for me.
Okay. Vandy, bosses?
Yep. Their offense has not shown the ability to move the ball consistently. They hurt themselves more than anybody I've ever watched consistently against quality teams. Our defense is good. Florida's defense is just okay, and Florida's defense had them looking shaky. They only really scored when Florida was being stupid. I don't see Vandy beating us, boss.
Okay. Yeah, boss, because absolutely no statistical analysis here. You win this. This is a boss. Win this game or else. Boy, if you want to see me cut up, lose to Vandy. I will have expletive-laced rants ready for this one if Auburn loses this game. No way. No way. This is not in the boss column. They're terrible. They play in I don't care if it's at Vandy. They play in a high school stadium.
If we lose to Vandy, are our bowl hopes going up in flames in that game?
Hang the reverse banner for this one. Like I just wow, man. I don't even know what to say. Boss. This has to be a boss. I refuse to believe it's anything but a boss.
Unless Vandy gets healthy on defense, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I think we all had tosses on the road against Arkansas. I'm not changing that.
I'm not changing it from a toss either, even though I don't think that Arkansas is very good. Again, until I see our offense produce something on the road, I can't be confident in what we're going to be able to do against a defense that's susceptible to being able to play poorly. Their offense is up and down, but they've been able to put up points in some spots there. I think T. Will's going to be motivated to try to beat his former employers. Is a toss to me.
Okay. T. Will. Coach T. Will.
Okay.
I had this as a toss. I'm sticking with toss. I don't think Arkansas is anything great. You're at Arkansas. It's not. You're not traveling very far. I don't know, man. This is a toss. We'll see. I may feel different about it after October. But for right now, from what I've seen from them, this is a toss.
Okay.
If our defense had not been playing well, I would move this to the loss column. But the way our defense is playing, if they can at least maintain that, is there any chance they get Keontae Scott back this season?
It's possible. I don't know what he's I think ahead of schedule right now on his recovery, but I don't know if that means he's going to be ready to play. But we'll see.
Does he have any eligibility left after this year?
Yeah, he could come back whether he plays. Yeah, he's got. I think he's technically a junior, so yeah, he's got another year. Maybe even has a COVID year. So
okay, yeah, feeling good there.
Bama.
Yeah, but I say because if anybody's changing their mind about New Mexico State, then just stop.
Yeah. No.
Bama is still a toss to me. Bama's playing better right now, but
I'm feeling like this one may be a loss, but
I believe in our defense at home, so I'm gonna toss it.
Ooh, I'm leaning towards loss on this one.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to go with Caesar on this one.
I'm leaning towards loss on this.
Yeah, I'm going right now. I may change my mind after October. Win 2 out of 3 in October, and I'll keep this in the toss column. But
what we do over the next 2 weeks, because you got to remember, in year one, of Harsin, we begin to see this offense begin to look promising. Now, obviously, it was a completely different Auburn offense by the time we got to the Iron Bowl due to injuries and whatnot. But you begin to see the light begin to come on. If we begin to see a light come on with this offense, and they begin to at least show that they're moving in the right direction, I will change my mind and put this back in the toss. But for right now, I'm going where this offense is, even at home. I'm going to go loss here.
Okay.
I'm going to go loss here.
Yep. I'm I'm gonna keep it in. I'm gonna keep it in the toss column for now. I'm gonna keep it in a toss column for now. I don't like how Jalen Milroe is trending though. I that makes me uncomfortable. I need that young man to play worse consistently every week.
He did it against a bad Texas A&M secondary. I don't think that they ran the ball great in that game. I think our defense is better all around than Texas A&M's defense is. We're at home. It's still a tossery.
Yeah. I don't feel bad.
None of those reasons are why I put it in a loss, though.
I feel you. It's all about our offense. Again,
Yeah.
I cannot confidently say boss to any of these games other than Vanderbilt and New Mexico State, but that's more of a commentary of how much I feel like we're better than those teams holistically. I think every game where the talent level is equivalent or slightly, better in any of these games, it's got to be a toss until we can prove that we can do anything offensively. Yeah. If we can't prove it, then I can't confidently say we can beat anybody. And I don't care how bad the defenses are. The rest of these defenses on our schedule, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, outside of Bama, all of these defenses are terrible. They're all terrible defenses, but I haven't seen our offense do anything. So I'm putting all of my hope in the fact that our defense is going to keep us in games. And our offense is going to figure it out at some point in time and manufacture some points. If our offense comes out looking competent, we could win every last game left on our schedule. And I will say that with confidence.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. If you don't figure it out against Ole Miss, I don't see you figuring it out against Bama.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, listen, I mean, what I can say is true. If I have any bully in me for this episode, guys, is that if they can figure out offensively, they have a chance to win every game. I'm not saying they will, but they have a chance to win every game left on the schedule. Figure out offensively, man, and woo, boy, we could be sitting here talking about starting the dynasty. Just playing.
But again, I have to see it. I can't get all rah about it until I actually see it happen on a Saturday.
Can you imagine if Hugh Freeze pulled out 10-2 somehow?
I could imagine it. I mean,
I can imagine it too.
Yeah. I'm going down to tumors and slapping everybody I see.
Why? That's why we won't do it. Just because of that right there. Oda says the winner of the Washington-Oregon will win the Natty.
Can't get there.
I don't know about that one. But they will clearly be the front runner.
Win their
conference, though.
They'll make it. They will likely win the pack and make it to the college football playoff. But win the Natty, I can't get.
Yeah, and then get mopped up by Georgia.
I need to see them play a quality. Show me what both of those two teams do against Utah, and then we'll have a conversation about whether or not they're able to actually beat a quality defense.
Can you imagine if Bo has to play Georgia a sixth time, and then the last time in the Natty? Boy, that would be some TV right there.
Definitely would.
Yeah.
The ratings will go through the roof.
I would not miss that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, gentlemen. We are towards the end of the show. People want it. We deliver. It's that time.
What did we see?
I got to go first, gentlemen. Let me go. I'll be very brief here. Miami coaches, and we need you to come down to the congregation. We need to have a word with you. It's Sunday. It's time for church. We need you to repent because you have failed your players. In case you guys missed it, Georgia Tech, who has a first-year coach, 2-3 on the season. We're well on their way to 2-4. No timeouts. They couldn't call a timeout. It was 3rd and 10. All Miami had to do was take a knee and the game was over.
Mm.
But no, not Mario Cristobal. Not $8 million a year, Mario Cristobal. Not you. The prodigal son who returned home to Miami to lead them into the future decided we're going to run up the gut. No reason. I mean, we're winning the game. It's 20-17, a close game. Logic will tell you take a knee and get out. But no, not you, Mario. You got to run the ball. For whatever reason, running back fumbles the football. Georgia Tech gets the ball under 30 seconds in scoring position. They could kick a field goal to tie it up. So at worst, we're looking at is an overtime game, right? Georgia Tech calls a pass play. And there's no there. All I see is they're in the cover 3, maybe, Ike.
I don't know what defense they were running.
Oh my God!
Wide open.
Everybody
on the goal
line. I don't get how
that's what I'm saying.
So open.
They were the DBs were playing up like there wasn't 26 seconds. Like it wasn't the final. It wasn't the ending of the game.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
The quarterback scrambles and a receiver gets behind these guys, knowing that Georgia Tech is trying to score. In less than a minute, you fumble the ball on your own side of the field when you could have taken a knee and won the game and remained undefeated. A 2-3 team with a first-year head coach.
And Haynes King is the quarterback.
With Haynes King as the quarterback, beats you, finds a receiver, gets behind your defense, and wins the game. We talk about coaching a lot, and we talk about coaching decisions. You're getting paid $8 million.
Yeah.
And that's how you manage the game that you had in control. You had this game won. This is how you call the game. This is how coaches lose their jobs right here. This is where you lose your job. Decisions like this. And how can you have confidence in a coach like this that you lose not to North Carolina? It'd be different if it was FSU. It'd be different if it was North Carolina. Georgia Tech. You lose a game like this. I feel for those kids. I feel for those players. I feel for those fans. They deserve better than what they got yesterday.
Yeah, agreed.
Mario, I wish we could play. I wish we had the sound effect for when you die in the Mario Brothers. That would be so appropriate right now. If we would have had that, that would have been perfect. Mario,
that's
do better.
So funny.
Do better.
That is.
I
funny,
yield the
bro.
rest of my time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next. I will say this though: if it were me, I don't care what my coach would have said. I would have just kneeled it. And if it were me, look, guys, I hate to admit this, but Georgia is still getting better, and there's a dynasty in Athens. It's brewing. I think that they're going to win the college football playoff. They're going to three-peat. I think they have a very easy path to that. Some of these teams just has not been as good as we thought they were going to be. Tennessee is not who we thought they were. I think that they will dispatch of Ole Miss. I know Georgia Tech pulled off some crazy comeback. They're no threat to beat Georgia. And then they've got Florida, Missouri, and Vandy left on the schedule. I think they win out. I think they win the SEC championship. I think they go into the college football playoff as the number 1 seed. I've been very impressed with Kirby Smart. I think he is close to supplanting Saban, because I'm not sure that Saban ever pulled off 3 in a row. They won some championships at Alabama, but I don't think they ever pulled off 3 in a row. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
No, nobody's pulled off 3 in a row in forever. So
yeah, they played 2 in a row, right? But nobody has pulled off 3 in a row. So it's impressive what he's done in Athens, I think. And I think they're setting the new standard for what excellence in college football looks like. And everybody else is just trying to catch up, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't even want to consider that in my brain, but yeah, they're likely not going to lose any more games this season. All right. What I saw. Listen, Jaden Daniels, man, he's single-handedly winning games for LSU at this point in
Yeah.
time. Single-handedly winning games for them at this point in time. With both his abilities to throw and run, they were dead in the water. Now, I know their defense came up with some pretty crucial stops, and, Missouri did what they do. But good Lord, Jaden Daniels with a hurt ribs went out there and willed that team to a victory offensively. If he is not in the Heisman conversation at this point in time, I don't know what Heisman voters are looking at. He is amongst the top in the league, not in SEC, in the country in passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
His proficiency is through the roof. He is one of the leading rushers as a quarterback this season. Jaden Daniels looks absolutely ridiculous this season. And LSU fans are, I think that they're silly for even doubting this. I thought Jaden Daniels was going to be one of the better quarterbacks in year 2 in this system to start the year. And there were LSU fans who thought they should go to Nussmeier. They couldn't have been further from wrong on this. Jaden Daniels is looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the country this season. He's been ridiculous. He should be in the Heisman conversation right now. There's a lot of games left in this season, but if you're making a Heisman ballot right now and you're not saying to yourself, Jaden Daniels needs to be on it, I don't know what you've been watching this season, because that defense is miserable. And Jaden Daniels has made sure that they consistently stay. That Ole Miss win that they got against LSU last week, Jaden Daniels is the reason they stayed in that game.
Yeah.
He's been playing absolutely lights out every single week. They lost to Florida State in that first game. Jaden Daniels had a good game. They halted inside like the red zone like 3 or 4 times in that game. Jaden Daniels has been getting better every single week. I don't know what other expletives you could come up with or words you could heap praise upon him, but that young man right there deserves every bit of praise for how well he's played, considering how absolutely putrid that defense has been this season. Jaden Daniels, Heisman candidate. Boom.
Yeah. B said it. He probably won't win it because of their record, their end record, but
Yeah, probably not.
Definitely deserves to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't put him in the conversation at this point in time. He's better than advertised. Like the proficiency that he's throwing the ball with, the decisions he's making, as far as when to keep it. The run that he made after he got his ribs hurt for the touchdown was ridiculous. Like I had just said, man, they need to take Daniels out of the game. He needs to like rest up for the remainder of this season. And then like 2 plays later, he takes off running for a touchdown. Jaden Daniels is ridiculous, man. And yeah, he's in the conversation at least right now. I'm not saying he's going to win it, because there's, again, a lot of football left, and their record probably won't allow him to be in the final conversation, but he deserves all of the praise that's being heaped upon him so far. All right. We got one more super chat. Caesar had to get out of here before we leave. Otis Smith says Maryland is better than I thought, or OSU is mid. I think it's a little bit of both, Oda.
Yeah, the other Tua's brother is playing pretty well down there in Maryland.
He's not bad. Ohio State, they are not playing well on offense right now. Their quarterback is taking a lot of sacks. Their offensive line is just not doing what it was supposed to be doing. And their defense is really holding them in games right now. So Ohio State probably a little mid, Maryland probably a little better than people thought they were going to be, but yeah, probably a little bit of both on that one. But all right, we are going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys, as always, for dropping in with us. If you have not already become a member of the War Report, go ahead and click that join button. We'll be getting into some more film this week. You know I love breaking down film. We'll be giving away tickets to the remainder of the home games this season. You got to be a member to get in on this little goodie. So make sure that you get your membership active. If you are a member and you want to gift the membership, you can do that right now from the live chat. Shout out to Manscaped. I did not do this earlier, and I apologize to the good folks at Manscaped because they have been such great supporters of the War Report. This episode is definitely brought to you by Manscaped, who has taken a step in Halloween to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. It may be spooky season, but you don't have to scare people with your beard. Give them something to look at with Manscaped's Handyman. If you're tired of the bad razor marks making your neck look like a scary movie, with the Handyman skin safe technology, you can help reduce nicks and cuts. You can finally feel confident when you're going for that close shave. Head to manscaped.com using code REPORT to get 20% off and free shipping. Again, manscaped.com using code REPORT for a look as sweet as candy. Get yourself the Handyman from Manscaped. Check out our folks at the Pod Network out here. TWR Pod Network is doing work out here in these streets. The Auburn Express, Uptempo Podcast, College Loop, and Just a Sec Pods, all a part of that network. If you didn't get a chance to win yourself something today, you can go to our merch store at thewarreport.com and shop, and you can support us in that way. And as always, Golden's Cast Iron, the supporter and sponsor of today's weekend tailgate. goldenscastiron.com/war report, or excuse me, WR. That link is right now in the description of this video. You can go there, get your weight up for 15% off, TWR for $65 off Fire Pits and Kamado Grills. We will be back at you guys with the morning drop tomorrow. Before you get out of here, make sure that you go ahead and share the video at the War Report on all social media. And you can like the video. Please like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are the War Report, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TW Report on TikTok. Again, we are out of here. The morning drop tomorrow morning. Until the next time. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.